Hello everybody, evidence for you here. I saw this hangout hosted by Bible Thumping Winnet, and I wanted to show you guys the last portion of it, where Matt Slick talks to HogTie Champ. When we enter the discussion, Matt has asked several questions to HogTie, and HogTie, for clarification purposes, has asked Matt what he really meant with his questions. I personally thought that it was quite polite and sincere by HogTie Champ. It isn't always easy to understand Christian rhetoric. Sometimes atheists hate God. Sometimes there are no such thing as an atheist. Sometimes atheists believe in nothing, and other times atheists believe in Big Bang. Sometimes evolution and abiogenesis is the same thing, and other times evolution is one kind turning into another kind. Sometimes there are no contradictions in the Bible, and other times the contradictions are of no importance to the overall message from Christ. Sometimes the Bible is allegory, and other times it's literal. Sometimes the earth is thousands of years old, and other times the earth is billions of years old. Imagine the effort it takes to have a decent discussion with some Christians on YouTube. Matt Slick and HogTie Champ talked for more than 40 minutes, and nothing, absolutely nothing, was resolved. Enjoy.
The laws of logic govern logical thought.
Okay, I don't know what that phrase means. The laws of logic govern logical thought.
You know,
Do you need a nap? Are you okay?
you have been trained by someone to teach you how to not think clearly. This is what's obvious to me. Someone's got in your head and confused the crap out of you. Let me try this again. I'm trying to be patient with you, and I think you're purposely being dense.
I'm really not. Actually, Matt, no, you don't.
Let me try something. Let me get your attention.
Okay.
I keep trying different ways, and all you do is you find one word to redefine and say, what does that mean? What does it mean? Do you realize that what you're doing in this is presupposing the absolute truths of the laws of logic? Because you're requesting the definitions according to the law of identity, how something is and what it is and is not. You're the one who said that the laws of logic aren't always true. I'm trying to get you to say, show me how they cannot always be true. You can't do that. I'm trying to work with you to get you to see that your own system doesn't make any sense. No. And what you do, like the Dillahuntee Dodge, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
No, Matt. No, what I'm doing, it's about clarity and communication. When I ask, okay, what do you mean by this?
Define clarity.
And then sometimes,
no. What do you mean by clarity? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
And there are sometimes, you've asked me, well, do you know what I mean by this? And I'll say, yes, I think it means this. And sometimes I've said, no, I don't know what you mean. Can you phrase it another way?
I'm not sure what you mean by clarity.
About clarity and communication. And
first of all, define clarity, define communication. I don't know what you mean by those terms. What do you mean by that? So what do you mean by those terms?
So
what does clarity mean? What does communication mean?
I have. Okay, can we? So
what does clarity mean? What does communication mean?
So the thing that I have tried to put out there, Matt, is that
you can't define it.
I think when you are asking me about this transcendental argument.
Oh, wait a minute. I get it. So when you do that to me, that's okay. If I ask you the same thing, you dismiss it. Your hypocrisy showing. Can you explain what it means? What clarity means? What communication means? Can you explain those to me, please?
On no occasion did I do that to you.
Yes, you did.
I sit there and talk constantly while you were trying to talk? So
can you explain clarity and communication?
I suppose I could, but is it your claim that you don't know what those words mean?
I didn't claim anything. Can you explain them to me?
Okay. So,
HogTie, do you get the point that Matt is making?
At this point or the earlier point? I do think I get his earlier point.
No, his point, HogTie, is that he's trying to have a discussion with you, and instead of having the discussion, you just keep asking for definitions.
No, because I don't think that's the case, Tim. And the thing is, I've heard your guys
agree with what
discussion.
Something you just said? that what's going on here?
No, because again, like I've said before, I think the difficulty here is that we're conflating these two issues. Like I said, confusing the map for the place. I think that the transcendental argument that was attempted last week, and I think could be or should be addressed, because that's where the rubber meets the road in this discussion, refers to the logical verities, the underlying truths of the things that Matt's referring to as the laws of logic. And I had said offhandedly last week about the laws of logic as elements of a system of calculation are products or necessary components of those systems of calculation. And I've said several times here, this doesn't matter. We're having a very silly academic discussion about logic okay. I'm not, when I ask for clarification on a term, I'm not doing it as a way of dodging something. It is because I just want to make sure that we're clear about something, that we're not going into equivocation stuff. Equivocation analysis and whatnot.
Can you explain what you mean by calculation, necessary components, clarification, dodging, and equivocation?
Okay. I will not. I don't.
Oh.
Yes, you can.
So I get it. Like I said earlier, it's okay for you to require that of me. Can
you reach the glass yourself, or do you need me to go get it? Oh, you have one right here. Use this one. Wow. Where's the one you had before?
Show me how the laws of logic are not always true. Give me an instance. Otherwise, your whole argument just falls. Show me how it is. If you can't do it, there's no argument you've got.
He had to stand up with lots of action going on in his kitchen there, or whatever room he's in.
You guys notice what's happening? Each time I try to get this guy to the point of thinking, then what does that mean? What does that mean? What does Matt? It's like a Dilettante dodge. Okay, look. So show me where. Show me how. Give me an instance where the laws of logic are not true. If you can't do that, then the transcendental argument stands.
We haven't touched the transcendental argument. No, easy, guys. We haven't touched the transcendental argument. I was simply making a point of correction about laws of logic versus the logical verities. I don't think it's important. I don't see any need to sort of derail the whole discussion around that.
You did.
You've launched in the...
True? Are they always true or not always true?
Or what always true?
The laws of logic, are they always true or are they not always true?
No. When asked about the logical verities, yes.
I didn't answer. Are they or are they not? Which is it?
No, not in every system. In Aristotelian logic, yes. In Aristotelian
logic, so the laws of logic are not always true. Give me an instance where the laws of logic are not always true.
We could make one now. I mean, I could have researched it or something. Like look for an example of one. This is a well established. This is such a mundane point. But okay, let's make
mundane. I guess it's just
let's make up one right now. Let's make up. We can. Okay, it's
do the law of identity. Show me where the law of identity is not true. Give me an instance where something is not what it is and it is what it is. Show me where that's not.
Well, like in fuzzy logic, for example. Like are you familiar with fuzzy logic? The thing is, I don't want to. There are two reasons why I don't want to teach a calculus of logic course right here. One of them is because I'm not the best teacher of it. The last time I took a course in it was over 20 years ago. And the other reason is I don't think it's of interest to anyone. If people are interested in it, they go look it up. But to give you an example of where, so for example, the law of identity isn't always true, or where things have different truth states. Like, are you familiar with fuzzy logic?
A little bit.
Okay. Well, then pick any system based on the fuzzy logic at its core, and then all these things that you're fascinated by.
Are you assuming that fuzzy logic is what it is and is not what it is not?
Sure. I don't know I do know what you mean by that. Yeah, I'm assuming that it is what it is and it is not what it's not.
So
yes,
fuzzy logic comports with the law of logic, with the law of identity. You got any other example? That one failed. You got any example?
No, it did not fail. You asked me for an example of a system. If trivially you want to argue,
I didn't ask for a system.
No, you asked for an example of when these things would not be true.
Show me
I said in other systems. Okay, Matt, please. I do have an honest one. Is it your goal in these conversations just to make the other person upset and irate? Because I've had those discussions with people where that's the whole point, is just to push the other person's buttons, just to get them upset. And I don't understand it when it happens. Like, how do you think it helps the conversation, especially if on your side you're trying to save souls? That's the thing I really don't understand. Just 1 second, Okay. So you know what I mean? And I see it more often on the atheist side, where they'll go into a room, somebody's trying to preach the gospel, and they just go in and they start asking about, I don't know, slavery or rape in the Bible, blah blah blah, and they want contradictions in the Bible, and they just want to push the other guy's buttons. I wonder, is that your approach? Because you're not letting us move past what I think is a very trivial point, that I'm saying that these things, that these systems of calculus within logic are conventions, and there are alternate things that they do, and I don't even find that terribly interesting. It's got nothing to do with the transcendental argument, because it's like asking, what if the rules of chess were different? Or, well, what if somebody was playing chess and they didn't follow the rules of chess? It's got nothing to do with it. And I keep saying, I know what you're asking. You're asking about the logical verities, the underlying realities that map onto the laws of logic and Aristotelian logic. So I'm like, great, let's go ahead and talk about that. And you don't want to. You want to keep going back and talk about this other trivial point. I don't understand it.
See the text chat there?
I'm doing my best to ignore it, because I actually didn't know that when you're in a room with this many Christians that they actually say worse things about an atheist caller than the atheists say when there's a 9-on-1 in an atheist chat.
Well,
surprised by that.
Let's. What are you referring to? What are you referring to? You just called out Christians in this hangout. What is there a?
Okay. Well, do we want to? Okay, we can derail that issue. Peripheral's a good guy.
Look at the chat.
Like PG Tex is going trivial point, laws of logics. Back here, there was a blah ha 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 about something.
I'm trying to show you something.
Hey,
okay.
I just want to clear up real quick to HogTie. I think a lot of this is another side conversation with another atheist that's not talking right now. So I don't think most of this probably has nothing to do with your guys' conversation.
Is it? Okay, is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to jump on that right away. I apologize. I didn't know that.
It's
not
fine.
you. We're talking to Justin.
Totally. Okay, I apologize. I really appreciate you mentioning that, because I apologize. It's just happened to be when I glance over and I see that stuff. I'm just trying to focus on the one conversation.
How you
So
might
I
have taken it
totally
like that. No problem at all, dude.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, look in the text chat after the asterisks. Law of identity. Is there any situation in which something is not what it actually is?
Okay. I'm reading it. What about that?
What situation is there when the law of identity is not true? I'm asking you, because you said these laws or conventions are not always true. They're probably not true. Is there any situation in which something is not what it actually is?
You're going to do it. You're actually going to get me upset. No, there are circumstances in other systems of calculation. But now what your question is there any situation? You mean like in our real world, in our real lives, like, look, I've got a cordless mouse. Is it somehow not a cordless mouse? Enough of that, please. Come on, Caleb. I'm sorry, 1 second. And then, of course, as soon as I hit mute, he's quiet. No, not in our real life, not in our real experience, not in anything that we use Aristotelian logic for.
I have said any situation.
Last week, I said this week, in any situation. Okay, if you're doing the calculus of logic in other systems, like fuzzy logic or other circumstances.
Faulty logic.
You know what? Maybe somebody would point to like quantum mechanics or something. If maybe
quantum mechanics is not about statements.
Well, you can certainly make statements about quantum states,
and the statements are always
you can hold doxastic beliefs about, I don't know, the position of a particle or something. Why not? Hey, okay, get upstairs and wash your.
You can't show. See, you guys see what's going on here? I'm just taking these.
Hell of a time with these.
Why don't you want to take care of your kids? Because
no, they're off now. They got it. They're off.
Okay.
But go ahead. And if I am getting frustrated, I'm going to say, honestly, I'm getting more frustrated with the kids who spilt a bit of milk, and I said, can you guys just leave it? I will put a piece of paper towel on it in a second.
Hey, okay. Don't worry. I got kids. I know how that is. Totally sympathetic.
But I absolutely want to reiterate that point. If you're asking me about real life, our experience, et cetera, as far as I can tell, the law of identity applies. Law of non-contradiction applies. These things, the verities apply always. I've never had a problem with that.
Here's my thing here. I said any situation. Here it is. Is there any situation in which something is not what it actually is?
Okay. I have no problem with that. What do you like? What?
So would you say no? There is no situation in which something isn't actually what it actually is.
Well, I would say yes, that's the case.
Oh, so it's universally true.
It's not a yes or no. Yes, the verity. That's what we're talking about. The verities. I've constantly.
Can you show me? It's either true or it's not true.
Is what true? That the things
the
are
statements. Law of identity. Something is what it is, and is not what it is not. That's a universal statement.
Okay. The statement you've got here is there any situation in which something is not what it?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you ask me if that statement is true. Okay.
I'm asking the question. Yeah. I'm confusing with an interrogative with an indicative.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the thing. So I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Can you answer the question?
The question is there any situation in which something is not, and I assume you mean real situation, in which something is not what it actually is? And the answer.
Any situation.
Huh?
Any situation. Anything. Give me.
Okay.
Show me where something actually, any place, any time, where something isn't really what it actually is.
Do you want me to change my answer? Does that help your argument if I change my answer from no, there's no situation?
So then you agree with the universality of the law of logic that there's no exception to it, the law of identity.
In the Aristotelian logic, yes, the law of identity is true.
Okay, so then
I've said this over
outside
and
of
over
Aristotelian
and over
logic, outside of Aristotelian
Yes, there
logic,
are
can
many
you show me
systems.
any situation where something is not what it actually is?
I don't know. Whatever. Honestly, Matt, I'm just getting bored of the.
Okay.
Like, you want to keep talking about these arbitrary things. You know what? I'll tell you how
Arbitrary?
this is interesting. Because you are not talking about. You want to talk about the verities, about the truths of these things, because
I'm asking you to back it up.
But you keep going into talking about these other systems. Okay, let me ask you this.
You do, not me. You do. You bring up other systems. I say, show me one, and you can't. And you say, you're bringing it up, Matt. I'm not. You are. Show me. Show me any system, any situation where the law of identity is just not true. Show me.
Now, do you want another one after? Like I mentioned, fuzzy logic. There are a number of.
Show me? Show me how in fuzzy logic something is not true.
How would I go about
what it is? Show me.
How would I go about that? I can do Google. You want to do a Google search and screen share Google search? Like, how does it help us?
When you say fuzzy logic, I can say whatever just blew on Wednesday. You're not saying anything. Give me an example. Here's the problem that you're going to have to do. In order to prove this, you're going to have to assume the laws of logic to begin with, which means you're violating your own premises in order to refute them. I'm trying to show you that ultimately you're self-refuting, step by step.
Right.
And what you're doing is you're resisting every single way.
In this conversation, that's your problem in this conversation.
What problem?
Instead of having a conversation where you try to get at my worldview,
I am getting at your worldview.
You're not making any.
I'm getting at your worldview.
You're not even close to my worldview, because what you've done. Just give me. Let me catch your breath for a second. Let me say what I'm going to say here, because I want to reset this conversation so it is some way productive. What you do, and you admit this yourself, in conversation, is you're looking to find the glitches and the bugs and the mistakes in the other person's worldview.
Absolutely.
Which I think you could do if you were to actually explore my worldview, which you have made no steps towards doing that. What you've done, again, before you interrupt me, which I knew you were going to do, because you cannot get past that sentence.
You just lied.
What you do, huh?
Don't lie to me and then tell me that is okay.
Why don't you let me finish my point?
No effort whatsoever to try to understand your worldview. Are you crazy?
Is that what I said? No effort whatsoever? Okay, that would be misspeaking. If I said no effort whatsoever, that would be misspeaking. I don't recall that's what I said, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there. I think you have not done what is sort of normal grown-up conversation towards finding what my worldview is and addressing and refuting that. And the reason is because last week we were talking about this. I said something, and the laws of logic aren't true, always in every case, by the way, totally an aside, and then something. And then that's all we talked about until I was asked to leave. And then now this time I've said, okay, well, let's get in, but let's actually have an actual grown-up conversation. I said right from the start, Matt, I know you're talking about the logical verities. If we want to talk about my worldview, if we want to talk about the transcendental argument, if we want to talk about presuppositionalism, let's recognize we're talking about the logical verities. I'm on board with you. Logical verities are true. Okay? Gotcha. And you flatly refuse to let go of this other point about my offhanded claim that there are conceivably some other systems. Okay? Now, let me give you one little example. It's going to seem totally off this is crazy, okay? But trust me, I can tie this point together. Have you ever heard? Okay, you know, if you have the set of natural number, any set of numbers that are natural numbers, like 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to 8, there's a very simple rule to figure out what the sum is, right? So you've got 1 to 8, you add them together, that's 9. 8 times 9 is 72. Half of that is going to be the sum. So 36 is going to be half of the sum of the numbers from. I probably did that wrong. I'm going to get a correction. Yeah, no, 36. Is going to be the sum of those numbers. But if you kept doing that, if you went 1 to 100, 1 to 1,000, 1 to 1,000,000, if you added up all the natural numbers from 1 to infinity, you get the number negative 1 over 12. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever seen that in a YouTube video or something? Have you ever heard that if you add up all the numbers?
Can't add all the numbers in infinity.
I know it's I'm hoping this will be a point of commiseration between us because I feel like I should understand that. I'm going to just repeat it really briefly. If you add up all the numbers from 1 to infinity,
you can't add them all.
If you were to do it, the result you would get, well, not only you can't do it, how could you do it? But if you but not because you can't do an infinite series, you certainly can do infinite sums. But if you
really,
you think it can't be done? Okay. Well, this
What's
isn't a
the
math.
total of all prime numbers in existence?
I don't know. How would I know that? So therefore, my worldviews are wrong. Anyway, I don't want to lose us in this rather ridiculous point because here's the thing: is that if you add up all the natural numbers, according to these guys who study this thing, not only is it possible to do it, but you get a negative number. You get a negative fraction.
Come on.
Negative.
Come on. HogTie.
It's
HogTie.
crazy.
I'm just a regular guy here, okay? But you're telling me that somebody has counted to infinity?
They say.
And you believe them?
Okay. Okay, what I believe is that whatever mathematical system they're working in, however they do this, they say if you add up all these numbers, you get negative, and it's not even
Wait. I thought aren't you some kind of a skeptic? Do you consider yourself a skeptic?
Okay, I do. So here's what
you think, and the guy who tells you they have added up all the numbers through infinity, that doesn't you're not skeptical of that?
It's dumber than that. He says I've added all the numbers and I get a negative fraction, negative 1/12. It makes no sense to me. So what a good skeptic would do is to look into it, right? So I'm looking into it, and there's a Wikipedia page on it. There are YouTube videos talking about it, and I've watched probably 6 of these things. I've read 5 or 6 different web pages on it. To this minute, I don't understand it, right?
But
so you don't understand something, and that's what you use to deal with the issues of logic?
No, I'm making an illustration here that when these academics are doing these things, right, they create these different systems, right? These people that are on this search for the largest prime number. We could have a mathematician in here, and you can talk about math with them if you're really fascinated about that, right? And I'm saying that's not my area. Like I've taken some courses in it years ago, and I'm just not that fascinated by it. I thought we were here to talk about transcendental stuff or atheist worldview or something like that. And what it sounds like to me, what you do is if I tell you something like, yeah, I saw a YouTube video once where a guy says if you add up all the natural numbers you get negative 1/12, that you're going to say to me, you're going to be like, well, that's crazy. Listen to how insane HogTie is because he says that adding up all the numbers gives you a negative 1/12. Right? It's a trivial point. I'm saying academics say this, and it's got nothing to do with reality or this discussion.
Then why did you just bring it up? What is going on in your head?
Because I'm desperately trying to explain to you guys, I'm willing to have the conversation about whether it's transcendental argument, presuppositionalism, whatever.
What does that got to do with the story you just wasted our time with?
Because I don't know how else to demonstrate to you.
So I got a question for you. How is it that all natural numbers, which are by definition positive, ends up with a negative number?
Yeah, I don't know. And like I say, it's not even a negative number, but it's a fraction, negative 1/12. I don't know.
So all positive numbers actually end up with a negative.
I posted the link right there for you, Metzler. It's on the sidebar if you wanted to see it. But I haven't looked at it yet, though.
Yeah, I know that's an impossibility. I don't have to worry about it. Look, you said I don't know your worldview. Okay.
You don't. You really don't. But, and you're welcome to explore it. So why don't we go ahead and do that?
Right.
So, and by the way, Tim, to answer your question, the reason why I brought up that ridiculous point, just because
you're covering a lot of stuff with a lot of words.
Just because I just want to answer his point, is because that's what I want to do, is get away from the academic discussion about what some academicians would say about logical systems and talk about this. So please, yes, Matt, please.
So you said I don't know your worldview.
Right.
But you're an atheist, right?
Yes.
And you're a naturalist.
You're going to hate me for this. I don't know what a naturalist is. Is it exclusive naturalist or? I'm sorry, I know it's going to make you mad.
All things
I believe
work
nature
under the
exists.
natural laws of the universe.
Sorry, you
All things work under the natural laws of the universe. There's no supernatural being.
That's my belief. Yeah.
Okay, and you said the laws of logic are conventions. In other words, are agreed upon principles. Yep. You said the laws of logic can be falsified, shown that they're not always true.
No, I did not say that.
Yes, you did.
I did not. No, I didn't. I said they can be not true in other logical systems. If you can invent a logical system where they don't apply. Just like you can invent a mathematical system where 2 + 2 = 1. I really thought we were going to get away from this. Can we go back to your point? Are you asking me if the logical verities cannot be true? That's fine. So yes, let's go and to go over your question. So yes, naturalist, the logical absolutes, the verities, whatever. Yes, I agree. Those things are
you presuppose
real, reliable. Yeah.
You presuppose your atheism is true.
No, I don't.
You don't? What evidence have you got for it?
For what? For not presupposing?
What evidence have you got for your belief in atheism?
Like provide a justification for it? Because that I can...
Yeah.
Okay. That potentially would be a really long answer. You don't want that. So let's go to the...
something short and sweet.
Yeah. So what's the... Yeah. Just touch the major bases. I think like a lot of people... So my recognition is... Yeah, that there's... our major information about the nature of God is in the Bible, right? And I came to an age where I recognized that the Bible is one of many holy books written in an era when that sort of thing was done quite often. So when I weigh the evidence on, when Christians tell me their experience, or when I look at what's in the Bible, and I weigh the evidence on what's the most likely explanation, I see better naturalistic explanations for the Bible being in existence and having the influence that it's had than I see of the purported supernatural explanations. Do you see what I mean by that?
You haven't substantiated your atheism.
No, you
All you did was give me subjective opinion.
Well, it is. It is, yeah, certainly subjective opinion.
So, in other words,
what did you want it to be?
Your atheist. I want you to think logically.
No, sorry. No, I don't want to misunderstand your question, because you asked me what my position was, and then you asked me sort of a justification for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm giving you sort of why.
Your atheism is nothing more than a subjective claim.
Yeah, that's the opinion I've come to.
Okay. So why do you defend your subjective claim?
Why do I defend it? Well, that's what I believe. What should I do about it otherwise?
Why come in here to argue that your belief is true? It's just subjective. You want to argue that it's objective. It's true, but it's based on your subjective experience. Why?
No, I've not. Okay, that it's objective. I don't know how I would ever.
Ultimately against the Christian God. So your atheism is subjective based on your personal experience, but you want us to acknowledge that basically God doesn't exist. So what you're doing is saying there's an objective reason for you not to believe in God based on my subjective experiences.
Yeah, no. I don't know where you're getting any of that stuff, Matt.
From what you said, that's where.
No, nothing. So, for example, you want me... I don't know what is an objective opinion. I don't even know what that would mean. To me, that's an oxymoron.
Oneself.
Yeah, so I mean... Like, how could an opinion be objective, right? Maybe you meant something else by that. I don't know what that means. I'm not trying to. Also, the other thing is, I've not tried to convince you. You listed several things that I am trying to convince you of, and none of which are actually anything that I've tried in this hangout or any time I've been in Tim's hangouts. And I don't think have ever argued any of those things that you just presented. I mean, I would. Now, not that I'm trying to get away from things I've actually claimed. Why would you do that? She's knocking on us. I certainly have put forward the claim that, I don't believe in God. I've put forward the claim about what I think the actual history of the Bible is. I've said things like that. But all the other stuff you just said, I've never made those claims.
So who's done most of the talking in here, you or me?
This time me. Last time you, by double or triple.
So you complained, and so I let you talk. You're making no sense.
Okay, well, I don't know. That's
sense.
Your subjective. That's your subjective opinion.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
These are the laws of logic.
That's just your subjective opinion.
Based on the laws of logic. I tried to show you various ways tonight that you're being inconsistent with your thinking.
No, you tried to show me one way, and it was the same pointing out this point that I was making about something I heard in a logic course 20 years ago that isn't even that interesting. Now we keep saying that we're going to go and we're going to talk about my worldview or your worldview or something else. I don't know, whatever you want to talk about, but you're not doing that. I think it's
interesting, though. This is my opinion. I think it would be interesting. If fuzzy logic is a legitimate undercutting defeater towards Aristotelian logic, that would be relevant to the discussion, right? Oh,
it's certainly not. No, it's certainly not a defeater to Aristotelian logic. It would be like saying that checkers is a defeater to chess, right? It's just or logarithms are a defeater to, I don't know. I should have stuck with the first example because I can't think of one to do with logarithms. It's just a different system of calculation or set of systems of just doing logical calculations. That's all. Yeah, it's not at all intended as a defeater. I think also anytime you take logic anywhere or when most circumstances
you gotta ask what it is you're defeating, because the presumption with Aristotelian logic is that it's just not another system. It's a universal system undergirding the categories of any system of thought at all.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That would be what it would be defeating. I don't mean to cut you off, Slick.
No.
No problem.
I actually interrupted.
He's arguing in circles anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make a difference.
No, I'm not mad, but whatever. If that's your only argument is to say you're a poopy head, HogTie, okay, then that's fine.
Wait a minute.
No, but I do.
HogTie, hold on a second. I've been
question.
extremely patient with you and your real logic, and then you can misrepresent me. So that's your only argument to say that
that's what you're doing. That's all you've done is you said, "Oh, you're illogic. You're in circles. You're."
I have asked you various things. You said the laws of logic can change. I asked you to prove it. You couldn't. When you're in a system, the laws are what they are. I asked you about this. You say
never said the laws of logic can change. When asked about it, I clarified.
You said they aren't always true.
When asked about it, I said they're not always true. I said they're not true in every system.
Keep trying to talk to bail yourself out.
They're not. They don't change. They can't mutate within a system.
Wow.
But. I said they can't mutate within a system, but Slash raises an interesting point. Can I guess we can't really talk about it here because.
Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Look, I've got all kinds of notes about some of the things you've said.
Okay, I want to send Slash a link to a video that I think is interesting. But go ahead, Matt.
Got all kinds of notes about the things that you've been saying, and you have said things like the law of non-contradiction, the law of identity, are not always true. I asked you to show me that. You don't show it to me.
Fuzzy logic.
You simply have said fuzzy logic. You don't show how fuzzy logic invalidates. I then got specific. I asked you a question. Show me any situation where something is not what it always is.
But then you're asking, how does fuzzy logic invalidate Aristotelian logic? And I said it doesn't. Oh, why? Okay, sure.
I asked you to show this in order to demonstrate your assertion that there are times when the laws of logic are not always true. I asked you to give me one on that basic one, which
not times, system. Okay, Matt, why do you want to stick with this point? To
show you that you don't know what you're doing, and to show others that you aren't making any sense. That's why.
No, because I want to talk about presuppositionalism, or I want to talk about the transcendental argument, or I want to talk about my worldview, or I want to talk about your worldview.
We can't.
I can't because you keep interrupting. But you want to keep going back to this academic trivial.
I'll tell you why we can't. Because you don't know how to have a conversation that's logically pointed from one thing to another. Because what you want to do is you derail everything.
No, you want to keep.
You're the one talking over me. I wait for you to finish repeatedly, and then when I go to respond to you, you are the one who starts talking over and over. I go to show you where you're wrong, and what you do is you bury it under verbal carpet bombing. What you're doing is making mistake after mistake after mistake. I ask you for a specific point for you to prove an assertion you made. You fail to do it. And then you don't like it when I call you on it repeatedly and you say that I can't get past something.
Let's just move past it then. Let's go on to something else that's interesting.
I can't get past your logic. And you want to have a dialogue with me on the validity of presuppositionalism? You can't even argue critically.
Then why are you dodging presuppositionalism? Why do you keep dodging that discussion? Go back to this academic discussion about these other systems of calculation.
Let's talk. Watch this. I'll show you why. Let's talk presuppositionalism right now. Go ahead.
No,
That's your question.
I booted him.
No!
He never wanted to talk about presuppositionalism.